Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Chooching on a Monday afternoon. And you know, one of the beautiful things about living in the hood here is you can become a real connoisseur of people. And one of the things I've really loved doing since I've simplified my life with the using the Samsung cell phone, the Galaxy S9 Plus, for most of my videography, I've been able to concentrate a lot more on my real love, which is people, and that's particularly people in the streets, and particularly, you know, gritty people and people out there, what would you say, hacking out a living, turning in cans and bottles and just getting by, and you know, hitting a mission. Where's their next meal coming from? You know, basically studying the human condition. And I've really sort of defined that that's what I really like to do, is to really feature people, street people, and people on the streets in my videos. I think it makes it very compelling and very interesting too. So, like a lot of you, I woke up Friday morning to the news that Anthony Bourdain had died, and originally I did not know immediately. I don't know if they took a while till the French authorities released in Strasbourg that he had committed suicide. And I didn't want to be one of those people. You see a lot of those vultures that come out as soon as somebody famous passes away. They get out there to try to find that viral video that's going to try to pin cause on the Illuminati did it, you know, the mafia put a hit, or there was some subterfuge involved in the death of hanging of Bourdain. It was a setup. He was murdered. You know, you hear all that stuff, and much to the credit of the French, you got to really hand it to them. They came out there and immediately said, nope, no foul play, no issues, no questions at all. They rapidly just closed the door on it and kind of took a little bit of the wind out of the sails. If it had been the United States, they would have milked that thing for a week or two till we found out, you know, the coroner's report. We don't know the cause of it, still to be determined, you know. Was foul play involved? Because that's what we do in this country. We draw things out to ridiculous extremes with overreaction. But I wanted to wait a couple days to sort of give my thoughts on it, because I felt a real connection with Anthony Bourdain in the sense that, you know, we had our trials and tribulations in life. He had his addictions to drugs and heroin and cocaine, and he really battled that. I hope he got clean of that, but who knows. And then I had my own battles with gender dysphoria and gender identity, and I always sort of felt a little bit of a kinship when I watched Bourdain, that we were kind of both rebels, you know. And Bourdain had that attitude, like, I don't give a flying, you know, and I'm just going to be a truth teller and stuff. And I admired his ability to just speak his mind, not sugarcoat stuff, but be a real dose of realism. A real dose of realism. Isn't that a little hyperbolic there? But to be somebody that could come on and just devil may care, let the chips fall where they may. And I thought to myself, well, you know, you and he sort of travel the same path, being a rebel and having to reinvent yourself as you get older. Well, for him, he reinvented himself with his book Kitchen Confidential, which was kind of a tell-all, the first tell-all on the restaurant and chef business. Went on to help him achieve great fame and no reservations and all the various shows that he did. And I always enjoyed him. I always thought he was very down to earth and the kind of person that I really enjoyed. I spent time in China, 5 years living overseas, and basically spent time in every Asian country that you could name. And I always made it a point to be in there and try every food. Bosses, when I first worked for AT&T, I went over there. I remember my boss came over from a really higher up boss came over to sign a really big contract for ES5, a huge switch, very expensive thing that you put in a central office that handles hundreds of thousands of lines. It's a big deal. It's like a $50 million thing back then. So of course you come over and you have a big ceremony and you do all the signing. But I remember him going, how offended the hosts were. He was actually in Taiwan at that time. That only thing he was willing, he made a big point, the only thing I want you to serve me here for dinner is a bowl of white rice. And I remember how gracious I even remember the name of the firm, New Southern Engineering, in Taipei, Taiwan. And I remember how, looking at the founder of it, who was in his 80s, and just to look at disappointment in his eyes that he had gone to all this trouble to spread out this huge feast of top-of-the-line delicacies, and all this guy wanted to do was basically eat a bowl of rice, sign the contract, and get gone. Well, Bourdain was the kind of guy that was an appreciator of culture, and he's the kind of guy that made you want to try things and submerge yourself in the culture and try to see what life is really like, and not in the Hilton hotels, not in the Mandarin Orientals, but in the real life on the real streets. And I really like that. He brought that whole concept in. A lot of people have told me, you know, it's a shame that he had everything to live for. He had money, he had fame, he had success. And then I told them, you know what? You have all that stuff and then you don't really have your own life anymore. You're on somebody else's schedule, you're always on the next project. And pretty soon your head's stuck in the mill, the grinding mill, and we can never really know what goes through people's minds. We can never know what demons are in their head. So the obvious superficial things on the surface really mean very little. When you see a person like Anthony Bourdain, if you look below the surface, you can see a very thoughtful and reflective person that was satirical about life, but also existential, to the point that realizing that everything was just a big, not everything, but most things in life were just a show. You know, and behind it all, they break down the sets when it's over, and life goes back to normal. And I think he saw kind of the absurdity, what we would call in philosophy, the existentialism of Sartre, that nothing really matters, and it's you know, it's just, you just laugh at the absurdity. And that's the way I really thought about Anthony Bourdain. Am I mad? Yeah. I remember one episode, and you guys will have to look this up on YouTube, when he was traveling in Uzbekistan with his friend, and his friend Shamir took him to a massage in Uzbekistan, and the sound effects on that and stuff for the 3 minutes when he was getting twisted like a pretzel and giving his commentary and a voiceover with the sound effects was beyond belief. He had a lot of talent, but his real talent was recognizing that in a lot of ways life was just grand theater, and your job was just to explore it and just recognize that you have a seat for a limited amount of time here, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. I will miss Anthony Bourdain a great deal. He's 1 year older than I am. I felt like we had the bond of age too, the memories of rock and past events in America. I will definitely miss his future things. There aren't many things I would ever seek out on TV to watch, but his reruns and his episodes and travels and food were tremendous. Anthony Bourdain, you will be sorely missed, my friend, but we shall carry on. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and have a great rest of your Monday.